Hey YouTube, Slingblade98 here. Heel and face turns are too common. Wrestling fans have become desensitized to them, and it makes it difficult for characters to be believable when they're turning back and forth so many times in a short time period. The crowd seems to react to them the same regardless of their character's moral direction. Much like the crowd reacted to Stone Cold Steve Austin in the early 2000s, they cheered him even though he was clearly aligned with the evil Vince McMahon. The solution I can foresee as being the easiest to apply is decreasing the frequency of these turns in character. That way everyone maintains a fairly solid base of who they're supposed to be. Many of the most popular wrestlers in history have only made a handful of turns over their entire career, and it seems like it could be a majorly helpful tool to those borderline stars if their turns were more believable. There should be a clear reason why the character is turning in the first place, and it shouldn't be every other storyline just to facilitate an angle, like Kane showing up in a mask just to feud with John Cena. That doesn't really make sense, and it doesn't have an explanation. I think back to some really successful turns, and they seem actually to make sense in reality why the person would change their outlook and become arrogant or become nice and optimistic. Getting screwed over, being underappreciated, getting booed when they put on a good show. Those are some reasons that could justify a heel turn, for instance. WWE, for instance, could have taken advantage of the massive crowd pop against a face John Cena at One Night Stand 2006 and justified a heel turn. John Cena could have been like, I put on a good show, I come out here, I throw my t-shirt to your kids, I smile, and you people boo me and throw toilet paper. Fuck you guys. That would have been awesome. But instead, his character is so set in stone now that even if John Cena was to become heel, which a lot of people I've heard over the years want, I bet that the kids and the people who John Cena, the superhero character, is marketed to would have the same reaction, and they wouldn't buy him as his character because WWE missed the boat on that, and they didn't take advantage of the right circumstances, and you can't do these things at your caprice is what I'm saying. You have to pick the right moment, or at least give a good backstory. I think more of this should be kind of improvisational and up to the wrestlers to pick the right moment. I know it's scripted, but a live mic has got many more guys over than a cheap 25-cent promo that was written for the guy. For example, Austin and Punk's shoot promos. Those made them into stars, respectively. A powerful promo makes a star, and a good example is Jericho getting a voice finally that turned him from a mid-carder into a main eventer. On his own DVD, he talks about being a generic babyface while in Mexico and in the Indies. But when he interrupted The Rock in 1999, the star was born. The silent and underappreciated Jericho had a visible reason to turn into the cocky and arrogant tweener he was. He was fed up. You see what I mean? Pretend the character's a real person, and you need some reason to justify this whole change of attitude. And I feel like he had it, and so that made sense, and that's why Jericho went from a really cool mid-carder in WCW and ECW as a Lionheart to Y2J, and he's a fucking legend now. We need to get validity back into the character stance and make these cookie-cutter good guy, bad guys into real-life believable people whose actions are rooted in some form of discernible logic. I know wrestling is fake, obviously, but that doesn't mean that the characters can't reflect how life is sometimes not black and white. In life, people make difficult decisions and live with the consequences. In wrestling, the longevity of a run is too short for us to believe that his turn is rooted in some fundamental change in the character's life. WWE wrestlers are like, their turns are like mood swings. Kane gets out of bed one day and with little explanation decides to wear a mask and start attacking annoying baby faces like Zack Ryder. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that we need a backstory. Every believable hero or villain has one. Batman didn't decide to just put on tights and fight criminals for no reason with a 12-year-old boy. His parents got murdered in front of him, and that makes the whole outlandish, character something wrestling doesn't lack at all. At least understandable, if not believable. Remember how awesome the debut of Kane was and how much history WWE told us he had with Taker? That was awesome. And that is what we need to justify turning an arrogant douche into a smiling face or a monster heel like the Great Khali into a comic relief character like the Punjabi Playboy. It just needs to make a little more sense in order to justify it and in order for these turns to mean anything. Because these are some of the most powerful tools in wrestling. A wrestler turning heel or face, it's surprising. It's the moments that define careers. And sometimes when they get a flat reaction, that can be when somebody's really done. I mean, when The Rock and Austin, I feel like, tried to turn heel in the early to mid 2000s, I just feel like they didn't get the reaction they wanted because it didn't make sense. They just showed up without any explanation and decided to affiliate with Vince McMahon or to sing songs booing the local sports team or something. It had no backstory, no explanation, no lead up, no build up. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find the right way to say these things because they're kind of abstract and difficult for me to figure out how to solve this problem. But I just think that a wrestler would do a lot better if his turn made sense instead of just being, something that happens with the calendar flipping. Thanks, and if you have any ideas on how to fix this problem, or if you think I'm full of shit, that's cool too. Comment, rate, subscribe, whatever you feel like. Peace. Love you guys.